Hey guys, Brett here, and in this video I'm taking a look at a new WordPress plugin called Blog Rocket. So Blog Rocket is a WordPress plugin that has a lot of claims. As a matter of fact, to start off this review, I want to take a look at a portion of the sales video for this plugin. So I'm looking at it right now, and you can see it says, accelerate your traffic and engagement with technology only ever available to the biggest sites that get millions of visitors a day. Now this technology is yours. And I can tell you right from the beginning that this headline is nonsense. This is not a new technology. This is not something that has only been available to the biggest sites. Blog Rocket is in essence a plugin that allows you to split test your blog's titles. And there have been plugins that do this for at least 6 years. I found plugins that are at least 6 years old that do the same thing in essence that Blog Rocket does. So this is total nonsense that it's only ever been available to the biggest sites. This is really nothing new. But you know what? We'll put that aside and we'll take a look at some of the other claims. It says it's going to dramatically increase your targeted traffic. It's going to increase blog social shares naturally. It's going to instantly increase your visitor engagement. It's going to generate incredible audience intelligence. It's going to boost your rankings with Google Fast. Smart title algorithm learns what works. I'm not really sure what that means. Adaptive reasoning targeting technology. That sounds exciting, but I'm not real sure what that is either. And it's going to rapidly reduce blog bounce rates. Now, these are some really bold claims. So before I cover these claims, let's go ahead and take a look at Blog Rocket. Okay, so I've installed the Blog Rocket WordPress plugin on my testing site. I've activated the plugin, and this is what you see when you click on the left-hand side. It's going to take you to the settings page. Now, the first thing that I notice about this is that there is absolutely no help and no tutorials built into the plugin. There's no link to take me over to a help page. There's no link to take me to a contact page. There's nothing built into this plugin at all. Now, there is a members area that you get access to when you make a purchase of Blog Rocket, and in that members area, there is a lot of tutorials. You can see it right here. This is the Blog Rocket members area. There's plenty of tutorials in here. There is a support link in here, but there's nothing built into the plugin itself. And honestly, I could never understand that. I could never understand why people selling IAM products, specifically WordPress plugins, make you log into a members area to watch the tutorial videos or to get support. Like, the tutorial videos are not a secret. It's not something you need to hide from people. Why can't you just put the tutorial videos right inside of the plugin? Or why can't you put a link to support right inside of the plugin? Why make me find the members area login information and go to another browser page and log in just to get support or just to watch a tutorial video? There's absolutely no advantage to that, and I can't see any reason why they do that. Besides the lack of any type of support or tutorials inside of the plugin, another thing that I noticed is that it doesn't follow basic coding principles. And the thing that I'm talking about specifically is that it doesn't have input sanitization. And this is, something that sounds complex, but it is a very basic coding principle. And what this means is that when you are expecting a certain type of data in an input, you only allow that type of data. Let me show you exactly what I mean. So you can see here it says select number of days for a campaign. And there's this little slider that I can move to adjust the number of days, or I can just enter it into this input field. So if I want my campaign to run for 7 days, I can just enter in 7. And that's fine, that's great. But what if I enter in something that's not a number? What if I enter in X? You can see it will accept a letter instead of a number. Even though it's supposed to be a number that's in there, it will accept it. If I go ahead and click on Save Settings, you can see it will save that setting. I can actually go over to Posts, go back to the plugin, and you can see it saved a letter when it's supposed to be a number in there. Now, this might seem like a simple thing. Oh, no big deal, Brett. Just don't type in a letter. Just type in a number like you're supposed to. But what this says to me as a developer is that the people who wrote Blog Rocket, they didn't even care enough to follow basic coding principles. A basic coding principle is what's called sanitation. Sanitation means I only allow the correct type of input. Generally speaking, people would put a little bit of JavaScript in here to ensure that only numbers get put into that input field. Again, this is standard coding practice, but they didn't do that. They didn't follow this basic thing. And that, to me, as a developer, makes me wonder, well, where else did they cut corners inside of this plugin? Now, I did mention both of these things to Sean, the lack of sanitization and the lack of help or support or tutorials or anything inside of the plugin. And the only response that I got from him was that it was interesting. He never messaged me back. He never let me know if there was any type of update or anything like that. So as of writing this article and as of making this review video, it still exists inside of the plugin like this. So let me go ahead and just enter in a number here because that's what it's actually expecting. I'll go ahead and save this to update my settings. And now I'm going to show you exactly how Blog Rocket works. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to click on the posts link. I'm going to go ahead and add a new post. Now, if you look closely, you could see there's two new things on the page. The first is this little icon right here, and the second is this plus icon. So the way Blog Rocket works is instead of entering a post title, you enter in a general subject for your post. So let's just say I was writing an article on email marketing. I would just go ahead and enter in email marketing as my subject, and I would click on this icon on the right hand side here. And what it's going to do then is randomly generate a title for my post. So you can see it's created a title for me that says the secret behind email marketing success and how you can do it too. And that's a pretty cool post title. I actually like that post title. It would fit most articles in email marketing, but that's not all Blog Rocket does. If I go ahead and click on this plus icon, it will add another variation. So I can then click on this random button again. Sorry, I have to enter in this again, email marketing. I can then click on the random button again, and it will generate a new random title for me. Now, this time it doesn't really make a lot of sense. It says 7 perfectly legal email marketing cheats that keep the enemy away. Now, that's not really going to make a lot of sense unless I'm actually writing an article that has 7 perfectly legal tips. So if the article is something completely different, or if it's not 7 tips, or if it's just something totally different from that, this is really not going to make a lot of sense. So what I can then do is click on this down arrow, and it will give me a whole list of suggested post titles that I can use. And you can see that this one is actually expecting me to edit it. So it says, would you like to have an email marketing result? So what I would do then is take this word result out, and I would enter in anything that would fit inside of here. So would you like to have an email marketing success? Now I can enter in more titles. I'll simply click on plus. I'll enter in my subject again. And then I can click on the down arrow and pick a new one. I'll just pick one randomly. And that's basically how you use Blog Rocket. Now, if you play around with this enough, you can see actually what it's doing. What this is doing is it's taking the words that I put inside of here. So in this case, it's email marketing. And it's putting that into some pre-written titles. As a matter of fact, if we go over here to plugins, we leave this page. I can then find the plugin, Blog Rocket. I'll click on Edit so I can see the plugin's code. If I go on the lower right-hand side here, let me find it. There it is. I can actually see here are all the pre-written titles. They're all right here. There's a bunch of them here. But what it's basically doing is it's taking whatever I enter inside of the title field and it's filling it inside of this pre-written title. So it's going to be a finite number of pre-written titles. There are a bunch of them here, but it's really just like stuffing my text inside of this. Sometimes it will match what your blog is about. Sometimes it will match what your post is about. Sometimes it won't. You're going to have to edit it probably normally. But this isn't the only thing that Blog Rocket does. Blog Rocket will also randomly show each of these titles to your site visitors. Let me show you a post that I already created so you can see what I'm talking about. So here's the post that I made a few days ago. You can see I've been testing with 3 different titles. Now there's really no content in the post since it's just a test post, but this does seem to be working fine. If we go over here and we view the post, you can actually see I'll refresh it. And each time I refresh it, it's going to show me one of the different post titles that I'm testing with. Now, I did notice something that's pretty interesting here. So as you can see, I've gone through all three of the test titles twice now. Now, if I go over back to the post, I'll go ahead and click on the refresh button. And you can see the center post, this give me 3 minutes and I'll make you a better email and content marketing. That title, which doesn't make any sense, but you can see it's still saying 0%. And if I actually go down and I look at the stats, you can see it's saying 0 views, 0 unique views, 0 performance. However, that title has for sure been shown. You just saw me do it. You just saw me go through all the titles, and it for sure showed that title. Let me actually do it one more time. Let me go back here, and I'm going to keep clicking the refresh button until it shows all of them. You can see right here, it's actually showing that one. Let me go ahead and click on it, and maybe you have to actually click on it. Let me go ahead and refresh this now. Still saying 0% up here, and it's still saying 0 views, 0 unique views, and here I am right here looking at it. So it's for sure buggy. The stat reporting is not showing correctly. Let me go over here to the timeline, and yeah, see in here you can see the purple one is that give me 3 minutes title. You can see right here it's clearly saying that it has been shown in the graph, but over in the general it's saying 0 views and 0 unique views. So there's definitely a bug in the reporting, and that kind of like comes back to what I was saying before when I was talking about the sanitization. When you see something like that that's so basic, so standard that isn't being followed, it usually means that there's going to be bugs in the plugin later, and here we are, we found the bug very quickly. When I was testing this, I also found another bug. So if we actually go over to the blog post again, you can see the title, give me 3 minutes and I'll make you a better email and content marketing. And you'll notice that there's this slash before the single quote in the word I'll. Now, I know where that comes from because I'm a developer. When you save something to a MySQL database, a single quote is an important character. You cannot have a single quote inside of a MySQL database. You actually have to do what's called escaping the single quote. And the way you escape a single quote is by putting a slash in front of the single quote. And what you're supposed to do then, when you read back that text that you saved to the database, you're supposed to strip that slash away. As a matter of fact, PHP even has a command built right into it called strip slashes. So you would generally read back the text from the database, run it through the strip slashes command, strip slashes function to be technical, and then you would display the proper output with the slashes stripped. However, it is showing the slashes, and this is just another indication of poor coding on the developer's part. Okay, so besides showing me statistics on how many times my title has been shown, I can also manually lock a title once I find one that I think is going to be the best performing. It's going to be a little bit skewed because the statistics seem to be a little bit buggy. I've actually refreshed the page several times and it's still showing no views inside of here. If we go over to the timeline, you can see right here, I continuously am refreshing the screen and it is showing me that all of the post titles have gotten views, but it's still saying none for this middle one. It's going to show me a little bit of extra data as well as far as who visited my site. I can go ahead and I can click on the refers and it's going to show me where traffic is coming from. I can click on location and it's going to give me some location data. Everybody that's viewing this is from the US because I'm the only one testing here and I'm in the US. And it's going to show me this technical data, which is basically just like the browser people are using, the operating system, screen resolution, and the desktop device, whether it's desktop or mobile. Now, this stuff is pretty cool that they have it in here, but you should be using Google Analytics anyway, and Google Analytics is going to give you way more detailed data, but it's pretty neat that they put this in here. It doesn't hurt anything, and it's nice having it right at your fingertips. Okay, so let's just forget about the little bug with the reporting here. I mean, it's not the end of the world. Maybe they'll fix it later. I think there's actually a bigger issue here. As I said, this plugin has a lot of claims. It claims that you're going to get, instant traffic. Well, how are you going to get instant traffic from this? I mean, you're going to be testing different titles. You're going to hope some titles get better engagement. But if your blog is not ranking in the search engines, nobody's going to see your title tests anyway. If people aren't already coming to your website, nobody's going to be sharing your website anyway. This is not going to do you any good unless you already have some traffic or unless you already know how to rank a blog on the first page of Google so people can even see your tests. This is not going to take a dead website and you're going to put this in here and you're magically going to get all kinds of traffic and stuff, because split testing is no good if nobody is even seeing the split test. Going back to the claims that they make about this WordPress plugin, you can see that some of these things, they really don't make any sense. For example, dramatically increase your targeted traffic. Well, you know what? Split testing your title is great. I mean, maybe some titles will get better engagement than others, but if nobody is even seeing the titles in the search engines, it's not going to matter. If you can't rank a site on Google, nobody's ever going to see your title split tests. Also, you have to keep in mind that Google doesn't crawl your site like every day. So if Google comes to your site and it crawls your site, it gets your title, it's then going to show its catch to people who happen to find your page in the search engine results. It's not like every single time you go to Google, the title is going to be different just because you change it on your blog. As a matter of fact, if I go over to my blog right now and change a title on one of my posts, it's not going to instantly change inside of Google because Google doesn't constantly crawl my site every 10 seconds. Google comes back to my site every couple of days. So really, unless you can already rank a site, nobody's going to see your title in the first place, and your title's not going to keep changing in Google anyway. Also, when people share on Facebook, when people share on G+, when people share on Twitter, it's not going to keep changing inside of those social networks because those social networks show a catch. They don't crawl your site every 10 seconds. They crawl it once, they catch the data, so that way they don't have to crawl it again. They just use their local catch. The same thing with boosting rankings with Google Fast. I don't really see how this is going to boost your rankings with Google. This is not going to help you with SEO, really. I mean, maybe having a title that matches, having keywords in your title that match the keywords in your blog. Now that will help, but that's not really what this is about. This is more about split testing, which really isn't going to help, because as I said, Google is going to catch your title when it scans your site. It's not going to come back every 10 seconds to see if you changed everything. Increase blog social shares naturally. I'm not real sure what that's supposed to mean. I mean, maybe if you have more people come to your site, you'll naturally get more social shares. But really, as far as social sharing goes, what's going to matter most is going to be the content of your blog post. Nobody ever goes to a website or goes to a blog and says, oh man, this article totally sucked, but it had a really cool title. I better like it on Facebook. And that doesn't make any sense at all. As far as social sharing goes, it's going to be your content that's most important. Now, sure, your title is going to hopefully engage people. And I'm not saying that your title isn't important. You should have an engaging title. But what I am saying is that split testing your title is not going to take a dead site and magically make it a popular site. I don't care what anybody says. Nobody's going to take a completely dead site and put this WordPress plugin on their site and just magically, instantly, you're going to get all kinds of new traffic in Google rankings. It's just not going to happen. Now, if you have a popular site already, you might want to go ahead and split test your titles and say, hey, maybe it'll help you out. But the thing is, there are other WordPress plugins that do this. There are free WordPress plugins that do this. Now, I'm not going to link to any of them because I don't want to do that. But if you go over to Google, you can do some searching, and there are plugins that already exist that do this. Sure, they don't exactly have the cool stat reporting, but you can get that with Google Analytics for free as well, and it's going to be more detailed. So, as for my final word on this plugin, I think that your title is important. I think that it's not going to hurt anything to split test your title, but I have no doubt in my mind that split testing your title is not some magic bullet that's going to take a dead site and instantly get it traffic or instantly make it rank or instantly make people share. I don't believe that for 1 second. Quite frankly, this plugin was kind of underwhelming to me. I don't think I would buy it. If I did buy it, I don't think I would keep it or use it. And because of that, it works. It has a little bit of bugs in it, but overall it works. But, frankly, I just don't feel comfortable telling people to invest their money in it. Alrighty, guys, thank you and enjoy.